Hi everybody, welcome back. So this is another video for those folks getting started in Linux administration or sysadmin stuff or IT in general. This is going to be talking about the Linux documentation project, or as an alternate title, RTFM. Read the fucking manual. um, and in fairness, I think for a lot of people who are new to Unix and Linux in general, they don't know where the manual is. I mean, sure, there's man pages, but unless you know the man command, you don't know how to get the man pages. So that's kind of tough. But those are good for individual commands. They talk about how to go use, LSOF or netstat, or how to format a drive, things like that. And you can go find the right command with the apropos command or man-k. And that's great. And those are awesome. And you should definitely read through a lot of the man pages, but you're probably going to be doing that over time. You're not just going to sit down and, pick up the man pages and read through them and da-da-da. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to, how the hell does that work? Let me figure out what that argument is. Boom, boom, boom. Run a man command. Look at the output. So I think the best manual that exists, especially in terms of online resources, things that aren't necessarily, print form, is going to be the Linux documentation project. And hopefully my audio is okay with it. Whoa, microphone just moved. It's the Linux documentation project. And the Linux documentation project, if I go switch over to my other screen, is this guy right here. It's tldp.org. Tango, Lima, Delta, Peru. I always forget the P. .org. The Linux documentation project. If you just do a search on DuckDuckGo or Google, you can find it pretty easily. And when you do, this is basically what you'll find. You're going to go ahead and find this great little website, which is below. I don't know why my mouse isn't working right now. Put mouse integration. Huh. Let's do that again. Let's get out of full screen mode. All right, so now that's back. Okay. So this is the Linux documentation project. It's fantastic. One of the courses that I'm going to be putting together in the near future is going to be on Bash. It's going to be scripting and using the Bash shell. And what I'm almost certainly going to base that course on is the Bash scripting guide found in the Linux documentation project. So let's take a look at that. So there's a couple different pieces here that we have. We've got the sort of categories broken down into different sections if you look here in the middle. And let me kind of zoom in on this so you can hopefully see this a little bit easier. All right, so we've got a little wiki where we can go ahead and see for various things in development. We then have how-tos, which are subject specific. We have guides, which are longer, in-depth books, effectively. And then frequently asked questions and man pages and stuff like that. So for man pages, if you want like an HTML version, you can look at these. Most of the distributions at this point have put their man pages online. So if you go to, Ubuntu's website, or you go to OpenSUSE's website, you'll see, man pages that you can browse. I'm going to go look at the how-tos, and I've got that open up in a tab over here. So when you open these up, basically what it does is it gives you the option to go look at them, alphabetically or sort of categorized, and HTML or PDFs or however you want to go access them. So this is starting off with the Linux OS, right? We then have and this goes through switching from operating systems, information about the kernel, bootloading, the shells, Unix administration stuff. So then we go over to switch to sysadmin and configuration. So this is looking at how do you do installs, how do you do benchmarking, how does clustering work, backup and recovery. All of these are really key kind of topics that you want to know as a Unix and Linux admin. Talking about hardware. And one of the things I will note is that some of this is a bit outdated, right? So this is a volunteer effort. if you're looking for somewhere to put some of your time and effort as in terms of an open source project, one of the things I talked about before was volunteering for projects in order to get some experience you can put on your resume. This is not a bad one, right? You go do a little bit of research on how to get, some sort of device working, wireless card, whatever it is, and then you can contribute that to the wireless section here. Boom. Now you get a little thing on your resume that you've contributed to the Linux documentation project. Yeah, that's interesting. Talk about networking. This is super, super useful. You can learn networking just from the documentation on the Linux documentation project. Their, discussion of IP addressing, net masks, routing, different routing protocols. You can get a pretty darn good networking education just from the stuff on the Linux documentation project. Applications GUI. There's a lot of stuff on programming, different languages, libraries, APIs, protocols. I mean, this is a lot of really good stuff. And the nice thing about this is it's generally pretty high quality content. So if we go back to one of the guides, this is, it's a bit of an older document, but this is the Unix and Internet Fundamentals How-To. So if you're completely brand new to this, and again, I always sort of caution people that are completely career switching and they're just going to deep dive into Unix administration. If this isn't something that you play with a lot, if you're not sort of doing this as a hobby in your spare time, I would be a little bit concerned about your longevity in the industry, with burnout and stuff. But if you were that kind of person and you were, just getting started, or you were somebody who was younger, right? So you're somebody who's interested in Unix and Linux and you're in like high school, this is a decent place to start. Now, a lot of the stuff you're probably already going to know if you're coming from that background. This is basically a complete beginner's guide. But if you see here, this document was written by ESR at Therius.com. And if we do a Google search for ESR, hopefully this will come back. No, he's not. He should be first on the list. This is Eric S. Raymond. He's often referred to as ESR. He's a software developer. He wrote The Cathedral and the Bazaar, which is like one of the core books recommended reading for open source. He's a good dude. And he's not a lightweight when it comes to Unix stuff and software development stuff and things in those general. Right. So this is, introduction, purpose of this document, to help Linux and Internet users who are learning by doing. It's basically going to walk you through a series of steps, and it talks you through like what happens when you switch on a computer. It's shocking to me how often people who are like senior don't actually know kind of really what happens. Like, what is a bootloader? Like, what does that do? How does grub work? Those kind of pieces. So looking at, this kind of stuff, it talks about things like virtual memory and really kind of just sets you up for, the next steps, right? So a lot of the stuff like how does the internet work? Everybody's going to know at this point because it's just sort of common knowledge. But there's a lot of really good stuff in here. This is looking at some of the guides. These are some of the bigger documents. The Advanced Bash Scripting Guide is one of the best programming books I've ever read. Full stop. Right? Not Bash specific, just like this is quality content. It gets to the point. It gets you up and running, and by the end of it, you will be comfortable writing, scripts in Bash if you do it. If we go to the HTML version, it's pretty decent. Linux on the road. This is a little bit outdated. It's back from like when we had to use things like wrappers for NT drivers on Linux to get our wireless cards working and things like that. Bash guide for beginners. So actually, this probably be a good place to start before the Advanced Bash Scripting Guide. but you went through this, this would talk to you about like how bash works, you know, the basic commands and all that kind of stuff. Introduction to Linux, GNU Linux command line tools, right? It's a lot of really good stuff. Want to become a kernel developer? Well, this is the document to start with, the Linux kernel module programming guide, right? Linux sysadmins guide. This is super, super good stuff. This is like really, really good stuff here. You know, so I'm not going to go through all of these because, you know, you can do that. File system hierarchy stuff. A lot of people don't know this. You know, it's really kind of core competency stuff, but a lot of people don't understand how this works. How you want to port Linux to a single board computer. This is based on Linux PPC, PowerPC architecture. But if you went through this, there's a good chance that you could, you know, do this thing. This last one, and this is going to be the one I'm going to kind of stop on because, again, you guys can go through these more on your own. But Linux from scratch, right? So this is going to be setting up Linux from scratch, compiling the kernel, getting that onto a disk, installing software, not Ubuntu, not Debian, not Slackware, your distribution. And I think it's a really cool thing to do, you know, at least once. You know, you may not decide to maintain it, but if you're somebody who's trying to get into Linux stuff and you can legitimately put on your resume, I built a Linux distribution, this is where you can download the ISO. You know, that doesn't look bad on a resume. So, you know, so there's a lot of kind of really interesting stuff in here. This is the advanced bash scripting guide, just because this is you know, one that's near and dear to my heart. And it basically just walks you through, like, this is shell programming. This is what a shebang is. Special characters, quoting, exit settings, using tests, you know, variables, loops, branches, case statements, using arithmetic, various different commands and built-ins, regular expressions. You need to learn regular expressions as a Unix admin. IO redirection, here docs, you know, subshell. So that talks about like scope, using things like rbash. So if you want to go ahead and write a script that's called by something external, right? I see this so often. People will run like a regular bash shell. You don't have to do that. There's a restricted bash shell that has limited abilities. So you can go do this a lot safer than you would ordinarily. So there's some really interesting stuff. And it's just a really good document. And if you go through this, especially if you went through the original bash scripting or the bash guide, introduction to bash kind of thing, and you go through that, you'll know bash and you will know how to write shell scripts, right? And at that point, all you need to do is do it a lot and you'll get good at it. So I hope that was useful. If you liked this video, you know, give it a like down below. Hit the thumbs up icon. Subscribe if you want to get more content like this. I'm getting all YouTubey with these kind of things. And yeah, share with your friends if that's something that you think is cool. And also, I'd love to get feedback, comments, things like you would be interested in seeing more subjects for this. Let me know what you're thinking. If you're somebody who learned bash or has experience with the Linux documentation project, I'd love to hear about that, just so other people can also get that feedback. Or if you have other alternative sites that you like better than the Linux documentation project, throw that down below. That'd be really, really cool. So thanks again for coming. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. So take care.